Welcome, everyone. My name is Parker Lacewell, and I'm a sophomore communications and social justice major at Dominican. This semester, I was a service learner with the Museum of the American Indian in Novato. Today, we will begin by acknowledging that Dominican University of California's campus is located on the ancestral lands of the Coast Miwok people, including Coast Miwok Tribal Council of Marin and Federated Indians of Grayson Rancheria. We recognize those who are federally recognized and those who are not. We acknowledge that Zoom, the media platform we use for this event, is headquartered in what is now called San Jose, California. Zoom headquarters is on the traditional land of the Ohlone, Tamai, and Milwaukee peoples. It is important for us to acknowledge the Indigenous community, since the community on a regular basis has to deal with the problem of invisibility. Even in census and other statistics, Indigenous or Native Americans rarely appear as a category. So beyond being a marginalized community, the Indigenous community is hardly even recognized and grouped as other. This grossly blatant form of oppression is unacceptable and is pertinent that we acknowledge the community that made it possible for us to be here today. We bring this to your attention to make you aware of the injustices the members of the Indigenous community have faced today for us to be able to meet here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parker. We are moving one presentation up really quick, so I'm going to pass it on to Felicia.
First will be Tori.
Oh, sorry, Tori, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name is Tori Campy. I'm the executive director at the Museum of the American Indian, and I was very fortunate to work with Kiana, Maria, and Parker during this semester and having participation here at the museum, where I am right now, up in Novato on Coast Miwok land. And this is actually a heritage site, this park in Novato. At the museum, we do educational programming and exhibits that are uplifting and promoting Native community in Marin County, as well as throughout the Americas. We have some really amazing projects we're working on and getting murals, building our educational outreach, collaborating with other Native organizations in Marin County and the Bay Area. And I was really fortunate to work with the service learning students this last semester. We were able to meet with our board president and learn from Henry Frank, who is Pomo and Yurok, and as well as our vice president, Greg Riza, who is from Central Mexico. The students were able to assist with our educational programs for youth. As well as we worked on processing lots of seeds and just getting our hands at work and like sharing while we work and talking and working together and building community. I was really, really fortunate to get to know these students, and I really, really appreciate the program. And thank you to Emily and George for all the help and assistance that you guys gave.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parker and Tori. Okay, now we're going on to the next presentation that was moved up a little bit. I'm going to pass it on to Felicia, another student, and then myself, and we'll be talking about performing stars.
Hi, I am Felicia Gaston, the Executive Director of Performing Stars of Marin, which is a nonprofit organization located in Marin City. We serve children in the low-income areas of Marin County by providing enrichment programs in a variety of programs. For instance, we connect children with scholarships to take ballet lessons. We provide neighborhood classes. We incorporate social skills. I would like to thank Emily for connecting me with the service learning interns, Abigail and Jamie. We had another student, but she wasn't able to stay with us for the period of the time of their internships. But what I appreciate is that our organization took on a massive project with the Sausalito Marin City School District because they unified all of both schools. There was an issue of having transportation and making sure the children was able to get to school from Marin City to the Sausalito campus. And there were a lot of logistics that had to be put into place. And some of those logistics was, there's 2 buses. We had to make sure the children were able to get to school on time. One of the buses always had to pick up another group of kids. It was through Marin Horizons. And by the time they would pick up the kids in Marin City, the kids would be late getting to school. So they didn't have time to have a breakfast. So we developed a brown bag breakfast program. And in that program, we were able to provide the children, while they were waiting for the bus to come, with a nutritious snack. So by the time they get to school, they would not be hungry. So Abigail and Jamie, they would help prepare these breakfast bags and put together all the things that was the nutritious items that need to go into the bags. And that made a big difference for the children. So they would not be hungry when they get to school. And we're talking about a group of about 40 children every morning. Since then, we've coordinated with the school breakfast program to pick up their breakfasts. So we didn't have to do that any longer. But I like the fact how both interns just jumped in and they got a chance to meet the children and connect with them and ride on the van with them, sometimes riding on the Marin Transit bus. So they just jumped in and the children really connected with them right away. Since then, Abigail took on another project. Our organization is focusing on Marin City will be 80 years old next year. We are celebrating every month, and there's going to be a series of activities that's going to be happening, and there will be information on our website called Marin City 80. What was most important is doing all the research, and I love research, but gathering the research and putting it into a Google Doc was really, really key. And Abigail took that project on. She not only took that project on by taking all the photographs that I have been collecting and putting in an archive, but she's also been finding all the credits that go along with the photos. And that's going to make a big difference when it's time to ask for permission to use these photos. We also are working on a building in Marin City. This building is called the Rosa Building, and this building has been in Marin City before Marin City started. It was owned by a Portuguese family, and Marin City was dairy farms before it became families, before it became for people to work in the shipyards. And so with this research, we want to make this building a historical point of interest. And I gave this information to Abigail. She completed the application. We are much further ahead than I would have been. I mean, I've been dreaming about having this building put together, this application put together for some time. And Abigail put it together, I think, within 1 week. So that's what I love, having these young minds and technical, and they just take care of business. So now we're ready to take this to the planning department at the County of Marin. So we are much further ahead than we ever have been before. Jamie has also stepped in after we stopped the breakfast program. We started an after school program with baton twirling. And so she's been providing assistance to my program coordinator in working with the young girls, learning how to twirl. And this is exciting because we have never had, both communities from after the unification. It's made a big difference to have white girls and Black girls work together. And this is real exciting. So we will have a performance coming up, but I appreciate all the patience that Jamie has provided to working with the young people. So again, I applaud these young ladies. I applaud the young minds, and I'm looking forward to continuing the work with the interns in the service learning program. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Next up, Jamie has a quick video for us talking about her experience with Performing Stars.
My name is Jamie Wu, and I'm a freshman 1 nursing student, and I'm part of Dr. Emily Wu's cultural anthropology class. And I've been doing service learning with Performing Stars, and I would say it's probably my favorite part of my Dominican experience so far, because I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to go out into the community and learning about a community that I had never known of previously. So I would help to pack breakfast, as well as help transport students from their schools back to their homes. And about 99% of the students that I help transport all live in public housing, and public housing is a really major part of Marin City. This is due to the long history of systemic racism in Marin City, and public housing is what is absolutely necessary, and it is a vital part of these people's lives. On the first day that I ever did service learning, I was walking with this little girl. We were going hand in hand, and she was just talking about her family, her house, and she told me that her family didn't have a car, and that really made me feel sad, because it just shows how not everyone in our community has resources, especially Marin City, typically being a wealthy county. There are places where they don't have enough resources, and that's something that we really need to work on to advocate, because we need these issues of systemic racism to be resolved. And it's really difficult because it's been going on for so long. So by doing more research on these communities and talking about it, it could help us get a better understanding of our communities. Performing Stars community is so close to each other. Everyone knows each other. Like, I will see the staff workers just honk at other people's cars or just have conversations with parents. And it just shows how kinship is not only people who live under the same roof, it could be anyone that you have a strong relationship with. So my biggest takeaway was that this community is such a good community because everyone knows each other, they're willing to help out with each other. And despite the history of systemic racism, they're still willing to push forward and just be there for one another.
Thank you, Jamie. And now I'm going to once again hit on, my name is Abby. I'm a communication and media studies major, and I'm a community action social change minor. And I'm a senior in Emily Wu's community action and social change class 3400. And I completed my service learning with Performing Stars this semester as well. And so this program has taken on a larger role this semester because of the government mandated desegregation of the school district in 2019. And the school district promised funding for Marin City students to now be bused to Sausalito. And they also said there would be money for food for students who need it, but the money was put elsewhere. And so Performing Stars has really stepped up to take on this role. And an interesting thing is I've been working with Marin City since 2019. So I've witnessed the before, during, and after of the school desegregation of the students. And I have some little excerpts I want to talk about of what I've recognized from them this time. And so I was helping pick up the students one day and rode the bus back with them to Performing Stars. 2 children got into a fight on the ride back. The mothers came down to resolve the issues, and one of the parents said something about the impact of the school desegregation. The mother said her child was in multiple fights that day, and she said at Bayside MLK, he never got into any fights. I'm always coming up to the school because he is constantly fighting. Another young girl told me about her feelings attending the new school in Sausalito as well. I was walking her towards her home, which was near her previous school. While we were walking, the young girl stated how she loved this school, Bayside MLK. I asked her why, and she proceeded to tell me that this one had a playground and her new school does not. She also said that Bayside MLK was closer to home and felt more inclusive, even though they had lots of classrooms. She stated if I could go back, I would. I noticed a majority of the students have similar feelings of returning to their original school in Marin City. Not only am I focusing on the impacts of the school desegregation with the students, but I've noticed how this program, Performing Stars, represents institutional accountability and genuine allyship from Cultural Humility Principle 3. Performing Stars is working to create institutional accountability for Marin City Sausalito School District. They are politely holding groups accountable for marginalizing Marin City students, whether it is showing up at school board meetings to fight for the funding they were promised or handling situations on their own. Performing Stars is ensuring their students are being represented and receiving the proper academic funding they deserve. They're also showing a form of genuine allyship for their community. Performing Stars consistently to help the students and families that are being impacted by school desegregation. They're taking on extra work to provide transportation and food for them, as well as extracurricular activities to help them succeed. They are making sure to celebrate the community's culture and the importance they hold so the rest of Marin County is aware of Marin City's community cultural wealth. And then speaking of celebrating Marin City's culture, I've also been working on a few other tasks with Felicia that she mentioned earlier. So the first one is creating the Rosa Building into a California point of historical interest so it can be a Marin City History Museum. And it's an original house from before the neighborhoods were torn down to create government housing. And they're working to turn it into a museum to celebrate the culture and history of Marin City. And then I'm also working on citing photos for a photo book for the anniversary of this community. And so it's part of the hashtag Marin City 80 project. And they're working to celebrate the 80th anniversary that is coming up soon. And so also these projects are in need of service learners to work with the Marin City 80 project and interns to help with the archives next semester. And from my experience, both have been really fun projects and they helped widen my grasp on Marin City history and learn about all the cultural wealth this community has to offer. And it can be done remotely at times if you cannot commit to a weekly commitment here. But if you're interested, please reach out. And thank you so much for your time. I'm going to pass it on to our next presenters, which are Jessica from the Multicultural Center of Marin Food Pantry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Velazquez. I am a freshman at Dominican University. I am majoring in psychology and I'm graduating in 2025. I'm working with Multicultural Center Marin with Adrian Aragon and Marco Berger. I've been working with the Multicultural Center of Marin in their food pantry every Saturday morning. My supervisor, Adrian, has made me feel welcome in this capacity. It brings me joy knowing that I can help my own Latinx community by passing out much needed food every week to folks who would receive it very graciously. On one Saturday morning, I also met Gabby, Adrian's sister, who shared her own experience as an immigrant and how she now works to coordinate domestic peace violence counselors for the domestic center piece. I have a quote, in such communities, the concept of woundedness breaks down and we are all wounded healers of each other. Raymond 228. Through sharing our struggles, we can heal each other by helping one another. I have told others who I know to go and use services at the food pantry since I understand that process and now the times it is operating. Through my connection with Gabby, I realized that we both desire change in our local community where we grew up and now we have the opportunity to serve. I felt empowered by her sharing her struggles and growth that I wasn't the only Latina wanting more equity for our people and overhaul of the current economic system as a whole. And that's what I got. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next up from Voces del Canal Photo Voice Project, we have Jennifer Luckow and Jennifer Cortez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Luckow, and I'm a faculty member at Dominican, and I'm also on sabbatical this academic year. This year, I'm working on a collaborative civic engagement project with the Canal community group called Voces del Canal. The project is using the methodology of photo voice to support community organizing and advocacy in the Canal community. So photo voice is a methodology in which people take pictures of their own lived experiences in order to communicate these experiences to a specific audience. And in this case, we're incorporating photo voice into a larger participatory action research project. So for this project, our goal is to improve public safety in the Canal neighborhood through increased lighting, which is a focus that was initially identified as a priority through community research conducted by the Voces del Canal in 2012, which was also a collaborative effort with Dominican University that was initiated by Julia van der Rijn. And this semester, a group of women from the Voces del Canal took pictures of the Canal neighborhood in the evening to document the lack of sufficient lighting in the Canal. And they decided they wanted to incorporate these images into their annual Dia de los Muertos altar to begin to raise awareness about the project in the community. So for next semester, we're going to continue to collaborate with the Voces del Canal to create a photo exposition of images that illustrate the lack of lighting in the community and the corresponding public safety issues that affect the community. And then during the photo exposition, residents of the community will be asked to reflect on their own experiences and concerns about public safety, as well as describe their own priorities for improving lighting in the Canal. The residents' ideas will be recorded and transcribed by Dominican students, and the data will be collectively analyzed by the students and the members of the Voces del Canal so that the group can prepare a presentation outlining the community's needs and priorities concerning public lighting. And ultimately, our plan is to present our findings from the exposition to the City Council of San Rafael in the spring of 2022. So I think there's a couple pictures I can share really quick. So here we have some of the first organizing meetings. You see people working on identifying different routes in the community where we're going to take pictures, and on the whiteboard there, they were dividing up the different areas, different routes where people were going to go out and take pictures. In the lower left picture, we're going through the different pictures and deciding which ones we wanted to select for both the Dia de los Muertos altar and then the photo exposition that's coming up in February. You can see Jennifer there controlling the video projection for us. And then in the last picture, these are some of the phrases, the writings that we included in the altar. So people are going through and collectively editing what we decided to put it alongside the images. And then in the next slide, here, this is how we displayed the photos. You can see on the altar, we had the pictures and a description of it. And then there was a place where they could find out more information about the upcoming photo exposition in February. So I'm sure you'll hear more about that. And you also see some people looking at the pictures when the altars were open up for the community to come and see, and the final altar, how we constructed it. So I think Jennifer is going to talk a little bit more now about her experience from the student perspective.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Cortez. I'm majoring in global public health and minoring in community action and social change. I'm also taking a CAS course with Professor Emily Wu on community engaged capstone. My experience so far has been amazing, so much learning, and it's been great because we can integrate what I'm learning in my classes, especially with research and with what Jennifer Luckow is doing. What's so great is that I get to understand more of the qualitative approach when it comes to research, and that's understanding more of personal experiences than the quantitative approach, which is more, analyzing numbers and statistics. What's so great about this opportunity was speaking to the wonderful women in Voces del Canal. They're nothing but empowering, and all of the opportunities that I've had to speak with them, talking about their experiences that they've had in, feeling unsafe in the streets and seeing how they empower one another and being, just making sure that they and also other residents of Canal feel safe in their own community. But there's so much learning, and one thing that I love about what the research is that it's part of participatory action research, and what I found with my own course class with community engagement is that it fosters civic engagement, and it's by providing minoritized individuals opportunities to analyze and engage with inequitable distributions of power and resources through the research and process. So it's something that I really get to experience and have truly enjoyed working with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you both. Next up, we have Fernando and Carla from Canal Alliance Rental Assistance.
Thank you. My name is Fernando Barreto. I am the Rental Assistance Manager at Canal Alliance. Canal Alliance exists to break the generational cycle of poverty for Latino immigrants and their families by lifting barriers to their success. We provide free immigration, education, and social services. And since the beginning of the pandemic, we expanded our services to offer free testing, vaccines, and especially rental assistance, as the only way to help alleviate the financial distress that COVID caused in many Canal families. Past July, we started offering in-person rental assistance 3 times a week at Canal Alliance in partnership with the Service Learning Program. And we have helped to open and maintain updated more than 2,500 rental assistance applications to the emergency rental assistance program offered by Marin County. And we have also helped around 1,000 individuals to understand the rental resources available out there and also the current rental protections, especially any matter related to eviction. I'm absolutely proud and grateful to each of the bilingual students that helped during the past 12 weeks to fill out rental and utility bills assistance applications. The students, your time, empathy, and love help families to stay living in Marin where they belong. Now I want to introduce you Carla to share her experience at the rental assistance program.
Hello everyone, my name is Carla Saldana and I am majoring in nursing and minoring in Spanish, and the service learning course that I took was self-community and ethical action with Julia. This semester I was working with Canal Alliance in the rental assistance program, and this was also my first time being and experiencing the Canal neighborhood. Through my time there, I have the opportunity to hear and learn about the Canal residents and each individual story I've been able to hear. It's allowed me to see and understand a little bit more of what the people of the Canal have lived through. And it's also highlighted the issues in the system that are making it harder for families and individuals to succeed. I also don't think that I would have had this opportunity if it wasn't for working with Canal through the service learning course. And it's also helped me work and empathize better with the people that I'm serving. The people from the Canal are hardworking, they're determined, they're resilient immigrants, but they're also essential workers that have contributed so much to this society during this pandemic especially. And that's something that I feel that often goes unnoticed and it's overlooked when there are all of these negative stereotypes and false narratives that are being perpetuated about immigrants especially. But through my community engagement, I've been able to hear these stories and counter narratives, and those qualities have been highlighted. And they're people that continue to fight against an unjust system, despite all of the obstacles that are being put in their path. One experience that stood out to me was about a woman that came. It was my last day working there, and she was recovering from a surgery, and she hasn't been working for most of the pandemic. And her husband, who has a disability, has also not been working. And she's also taking care of her 2 grandchildren who are living with her. So all of the responsibility falls on her to provide for her family and take care of them, especially with her husband who is disabled. And obviously there are all these issues like cost of rent in Marin, which is extremely high, unemployment, the lack of access to resources. These are just some of the main issues that are being faced by the people in the Canal, not just by, this woman that came in. It's something that I've noticed. And these are challenges that are affecting their ability to thrive and to provide a better future for their families. And, they continue to fight and work against all of these struggles. And this is opposite of what all of the negative stereotypes are saying about them. They're proving that they're hard workers. They're not lazy people. They're people who continue to fight, and they come in and stand in the line and wait for their turn so that we could hopefully get them the assistance that they need. And my hope is that in the future, we can build better and more long-term solutions so that we can support their growth and their success.
Thank you. Next up is Katie from the Episcopal Church of the Redeemer.
Hi, my name is Katie Silva. I am a second-year pre-occupational therapy major, and I took the class Meditation and Mindful Action this past semester, and we partnered with the Episcopal Church of the Redeemer. And in this class, we used the practice of meditation and being mindful to notice more about the world around us. And we did mindful observations where we went to a location and sat there for an hour every week to observe the people who came in and out, the environment, and also our internal reactions. And I found that the practice of meditation allowed me to see all of the beauty in the world, as well as all of the flaws, which are equally important in being fully aware of the world around us. And in my mindful observations, I went to China Camp in the main village, I went on Friday mornings and it was very quiet with just like a few people there. And I realized how naturally peaceful of a place it was and how easy it was to empty my thoughts and listen to the sound of the water. And I thought it was amazing to have this place so close by. And it's such an easy escape to reset my mind through meditation. And through my observation, I found that I only ever saw white people there. And living in such a diverse area my whole life, this was a shock to me. In my 4 visits, the only time I saw a person of color was when some high schoolers came for a field trip to test and study the water from the bay, and that was only one person. Typically, it was mostly people who came to kayak or paddleboard or retired people coming to sit on the shore and just enjoy the space. But I took note of the fact that I only saw white people on the Friday mornings because it showed me who is more able to take time out of their schedule or time off of work to go to China camp on a Friday to just enjoy their day. And in addition, through learning about the history of China camp, I grew a huge thanks to the Kwan family, who even after the racist laws preventing the export of shrimp, which caused the shrimp fishing to stop there, they continued to gather shrimp and sell it locally, and they promoted the area as a recreational area. And I think if it wasn't for this family, houses might have been built on the land, and many people who come to enjoy this space to hike or kayak or paddleboard or swim would not be able to come here. And this class might be one of the few that helped me in my everyday life for personal growth because it gave me life skills and being present, which allowed me to notice everything around me, including the injustices that I would not have seen otherwise.
Thank you, Katie. Next up from Inside Out Writers, we have CeCe.
Hi everyone, my name is CeCe, and this semester I had the pleasure of being a part of Inside Out Writers, which was a writing circle with Robert and other of my classmates, and a small part of my speech that I did for my community engagement. As long as I can remember, my English classes were always repetitive and focused on the standard and professional way that I had to write. I presented, read, wrote, and thought in this exact manner. It wasn't until my experience in effective communications that made me change my perspective and find a new way of appreciating writing, speaking, and listening to my peers, professors, and community members. Effective communication reminded me of the reason why I fell in love with writing, through poems, articles, and freedom of expressing. Although this class is coming to an end, I feel as if it is just the beginning of my writing journey. I came into effective communications with low expectations and broken conversations. I expected the same outcome as my years in high school. However, once our classes began, I quickly realized that the assignments and conversations we were having could be a place for me to really share what I was thinking and write in a genuine and authentic way that made sense to me. My experience with IOW allowed me to build upon a safe space that was created and to truly know how to honor and listen not just with your ears to experiences and stories of people with powerful stories. Acknowledging that uncomfortable conversations were necessary in order to begin a process of self-reflection and awareness not only with ourselves, but with those around us was crucial to my experience as a writer and communicator. I saw myself flourish and gain confidence in my writing with the writing circle that I was a part of. I gained a new sense of hope in my literature and understanding of not just what I read, but about what I wrote. Being a part of the IOW workshop showed me the courage and resilience of formerly incarcerated people. It reminded me of how strong people are to go through an obstacle like that. Being in that space allowed me to not only share, but to also be grateful for their experience to be in the same space. In the beginning, I didn't think I would put as much effort into my writing as I thought I would. I ended up putting my most effort and my all into each writing piece that I did during my time in effective communications. I remembered why I chose to write in the first place. I want to give a special thanks to IOW and Professor Jeremy for this opportunity to share a small part of my experience in IOW that has made a big impact on my life. And I just wanted to come on here and thank everybody who was presenting, because I live in the canal and it's so great to hear everybody like talk about their experience volunteering here. And yeah, thank you everybody for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Next up is Fernando from Health Hubs.
Hi everyone, my name is Fernando and I'm a senior graduating next semester. I'm also on the men's soccer team. I'm a bio major. I have two minors, chemistry and community action and social change. So this semester I worked with health hubs, and for me, it was different as well than the normal first 2 years that I did my service learning with a different community partner. But we did the best we could to manage through COVID. And for me, it was doing like the little things for people that just made a big impact on them. So, for example, what I did at Health Hubs was I did outreach. So I would distribute information that the county or a different organization like Canal Alliance was trying to hand out information to the people. And, for me, sort of being able to go up to a person and greeting them in a friendly manner was the most important part out of all of it, just because you have people that are coming out of work or picking up their kids from school. And for most of them, it's very stressful. And for them, it's a thing that they need to get done before the day ends or before our event ends. And I think taking it slow and being calm and sort of getting to giving them the sensation of what's called of being welcomed at a place where it's not like, okay, you got to go, here's your stuff and go. Definitely helps ease their anxiety or their sensation of rushing things. So what I did was, I greeted them with a friendly hello, and most of them are Hispanic, so they spoke Spanish to me, and I would occasionally sometimes even joke with them, professionally, of course, and it'll always lighten up their mood. And I would always see them smile at the end of the interaction, and that's just something that just made me feel good about myself in the interaction I had with the person, because I know that in their mind now, next time they come again, they're going to have this positive interaction with me and with the organization. So for me, it was mainly about connecting with the people and then being able to distribute the information out to them. So for my class that I'm taking is my ethics class. I had this reading that we did, and in this reading it mentions, or it's talking about helping, fixing, or serving by Rachel Naomi Remen. And Remen said, what is most professional is not always the best service and strengthens the wholesome in others. And I think that she meant is, not just doing our job and going there and getting that task done is the most important thing. It's just being able to create a relationship with the people at the community you're serving. And I know I heard some of my classmates didn't have a very positive experience just because of the restrictions of COVID. And the one thing I did take away from that, because I did manage to find myself in that position too, where I was limited to doing certain things. But the one thing I did take away from it was being able to find a positive aspect of these restrictions, and the little things, as I mentioned, is what make the big difference in the bigger picture. So even though I didn't get to do much, or I didn't get to see a big difference, right away, making that small change in a person's day definitely helps improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. And next up, we have Isabella and Ahmed, who did their community engagement with Next Generation Scholars.
My name is Isabelle Pisano. I am a third-year occupational therapy student, and I have a double minor in psychology and community action and social change. And I'm also an Edge Fellow. I've been working with Next Generation Scholars for 3 semesters now, and I've done a few different things with them. I started out as a tutor, and then for the past year or so, I've been helping out redesign their Boost Camp program, which is now a year-round college prep program. So we collaborate with underserved students in the community and work to get them access to the same types of resources and academic opportunities that privileged students receive. My CP mentor is Sean Cole Woods, and I've worked with so many other amazing people as well throughout my time with them, and gotten the opportunity to make connections with people that I would have likely never known without the service learning program. I feel incredibly fortunate to go to a university that offers a program like service learning that values our community and their voices. it's such a privilege to me to be given that academic opportunity to work within the community and apply the things that we get to learn in the classroom to real life situations. In my final paper for my Evolution of Human Culture course this semester, I talked about the ripple effect of education and critical consciousness, because it all has to start somewhere. And if you think about a program like service learning at Dominican, it has the potential to be creating hundreds of these little ripple pools in each of our lives as we learn and experience more and more and get to share it with others. And we can see 100 of those little ripples just here in the Zoom room today. And I'm sure that you've all completed the cultural humility modules, but one of the biggest things I have taken away from my entire experience in this program and with NGS is the principles of lifelong learning and critical self-reflection from those modules. I think we've all adopted those principles to a degree and use them as we continue to learn and grow from our experiences working within the community and embody them in different ways. But sharing is such an important factor, I think. And I'm just so grateful for NGS for providing me with that environment to learn, and also our entire service learning department and all of you for creating this space for sharing our experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmed Shahrour, and I'm a applied computer science major, nothing to do with the liberal arts. So I took this course with Julia Vanderen for self, community, and ethical action. So I only knew the first part, which was self, barely knowing it. Community and ethical action was something I had no idea about. And I sought to go find that out for myself. And for me, I think during the pandemic, I went through a very difficult time. And I was teaching my younger sister, Yara. She had some problems doing the virtual learning during school time and through Zoom. So she was having a lot of difficulty with science and math. So I went in and helped her. And during that time, when it was all locked, when the world was locked down, I was teaching her, and that was like the candle in the dark room for me. And it was such a lovely, beautiful experience. And I immediately was like, when I wanted to do the service learning and learn about myself and the world around me, I was like, okay, I think I should go to children. And that's where I went to Next Generation Scholars. So during the semester, I was tutoring a student called Rodney, a middle school tutee. And he has come to taught me to become a wholesome human being. When interacting throughout our sessions, Rodney never explicitly taught me the ways of living. I had to be curious and seek them out myself. You see, one only needs to look at the details and be inquisitive. Otherwise, the other is then less interesting. But where does the lack of interest come from? I see him as what I see in my younger sibling, Yara, during the pandemic. I saw her in him. What made him any less deserving of my love for Yara? Slowly, as the semester has come to an end, Rodney is no longer Rodney and I am no longer Ahmed. We've exchanged our experiences and knowledge, and centering his voice has changed the both of us. Cultivating a space of belonging, sharing vulnerabilities, and understanding my positionality allowed us to work together in symphony. And you know the analogy of how fish can't see water, and I came into the class not knowing what my privileges or my intersectionality was. So it was a beautiful experience throughout the semester, kind of doing the readings in class and kind of reflecting on it in the actual sessions with Rodney. It was just a beautiful dance that I had to do, that dialogue between theory and practice. And in NGS, they helped me see the water that me, the fish, could not see. The racial injustice system we work under perpetuates the segregation of minorities for resources, especially here in Marin, where disparities are high. The prime example is the Canal neighborhood, with limited resources like education, healthcare, and job prospects. To battle the systemic motion, NGS was cultivated to resist it by fulfilling the resource of education. The education the community voiced and needed, not the type of help that we assume. My mission is to carry this forward into my professional and personal conduct. I no longer have the desire to work at big tech like I once dreamed of, like a donkey chasing after the carrot. the American dream. Egoism and capitalism are no longer my drives, but hinder creating a place where we can live with dignity. That includes creating a space of inclusion, as I did with Rodney in all my affairs, self-reflecting on my privileges and questioning my epistemology. And to end my talk, I'd like to quote a speech by Cesar Chavez in Minority Voices by Jose Calderon. There's only one thing for sure in life, and that we will one day die. In that space between now and when we die, we have the choice of throwing away our lives or to fully use them by sacrificing in the service of others. Because life is so precious, every minute, second, hour, month, and year truly count. You can easily throw away your life away on drugs, alcohol, and selfishness, or you can use your life in service to others. Those who truly use their lives and minds, when compared to the average human being in this country, may live the equivalent of 1,000 years. Thank you.
Thank you both. And next up, we have Kitty, who completed her service learning with Community Action Marin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katina. I go by Kitty as well. I am a senior social justice major. And I, like Abigail said, I worked with Community Action Marin. Initially, it was supposed to be for safety net. I'm still part of it, but mostly focusing on rental assistance with Laurel Hill and Chris Miranda mostly. And I want to start off with a quote that I picked up from a reading from Ethics in the Margins, the class that I've taken. And this is from Rachel Naomi Riemann. It's titled Help Fixing Serving. Her quote says, "Those who serve have traded a sense of mastery for an expertise of mystery. And in doing so, I have transformed their work and their lives into practice." And going back and reflecting all the work that I've done so far with Community Action Marin, and filling out rental applications and navigating, that type of space and working in person versus over Zoom, I've really kind of embraced that sense of the quote where I've traded my mastery in knowing about social justice issues and knowing how to speak about them in a safe place and stuff, but actually practicing it and really implementing it into my life has really changed this past semester. And I want to share an experience that I had that really kind of, for me, showed to me that how I'm embedding in this. Laura's class, Ethics from the Margins, is talking about communities from the margins who are often displaced or who have to face different challenges. Since I'm a Latina and I am a bisexual woman, I come from different marginalized communities all the time. So I come from that perspective, but even then I have my own privileges. So recognizing and using what I've learned in class to my community, going to Community Action Marin, recognizing I have some sort of power and privilege, and how do I use it so that it's good and that I exemplify the voices that do need to be heard is something that I carried. And so I was helping out this woman. I go in every Tuesday and everything. I try to help out as many applicants as I can. And she had been kind of through the ringer. She had been to multiple organizations. She'd been to St. Vinny's. She had been to Canal Alliance. She'd been telling where she's been. And she just kind of was at her last end of rope. She was an older Latina woman. I could tell that she was struggling, just trying to find some help with rent. She had been through an illness, and it just was heartbreaking to hear because in my head she was almost like my mom, like the way that she spoke and everything. And she had a landlord who was basically harassing her and threatening, and so she was very scared and came to us very scared. And I told her and explained to her that he cannot be harassing her, and that, and I try to give her some reassurance at the same time. And because the application needs supervisor help as well when you do fill out a rental application. This particular supervisor has stated that he did not want to, this landlord said that he didn't want to fill out the application. He refused multiple times. Multiple organizations called him. He just didn't want to fill out the application so that she could help pay her rent. So my supervisor came in and said that they would work with her and her case because obviously the landlord didn't want to fill out the application, and seeing him step up just made me feel so much better that there are people on, the marginalized community side that are trying to help and trying to fix issues when it's out of our control. So in this instance, it's not her fault that her landlord doesn't want to fill out the application, even if people are telling them and they're offering their services for this landlord. He just simply does not want to be motivated. But there are people behind the scenes who want to help, like myself. And so seeing that and being able to just be a comfort to her when I could see in her face that she's just kind of done and just wants help. And when she walked away, I could tell that she at least felt somewhat better. And that's something that I want to keep going when I if I do go back to Community Action Marin and just kind of keep helping and offering my services. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kitty. And with the last bit of our time, I want to thank you all for joining us. And are there any community partners who want to say something or have a question for their student?
Or anybody have a question since we actually finished?
I see I think Stephanie Green.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Kitty for sharing about the mindful action and for offering reflections and observations that really kind of carry us forth beyond the class. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of the presenters, because it really helps me understand, wow, what the multiple opportunities for service are and multiple opportunities for learning, and I don't know, maybe bridge building. So thank you so much. There are so many insights and moments of transformation that were shared. Fabulous. Thank you.
Yes, and it looks like Rodrigo wants to speak too, and then Denise Lacey as well.
So I just want to say, thank you so much for having Inside Outriders and just to be part of this process as well. It was been such a privilege to be just to be clear with that whole process. We were kind of wondering how this thing was going to work, and it was just a very organic process that created this strong connection, because you got to imagine you start off at the beginning and it's like a college class coming in with, just kind of listening and just, you're listening to a lecture and then you go home. But in this case, it was active listening and participation and becoming vulnerable, which was a process. And that's what we do with the youth inside who are incarcerated. It's a process to build that relationship. And we do, we work with youth inside, we provide reentry support, housing support, getting into education or vocational training, what have you. It's a process that happens. And just this experience to see it, just to see the magic of becoming vulnerable and being able to heal from that is just the first part of that process. And, it just also highlights how, you can't read this in a textbook. And we just want to be, very thankful to everyone here who allowed our organization to show you what we're about. And we just want to say that through these spaces is how we're going to, in part, get to that healing as a society, as a, a community that wants to do social good. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated in this. And also thank you to all the participants here who shared their stories about doing social good. Thank you.
Denise, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Jenny. I'm emotional.
Me too.
I want to first say how much I am impressed with you, Professor Vanderin, for bringing all of us together, and for the community partners who work with our students. I admire you all so much, and you've made me feel so emotional. I didn't expect that. Your humanness, your caring and kindness makes me full of love for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Sean Cole, would you like to say something?
I'm gonna try to get it out. I'm still a little under the weather, so bear.
As we all wait, cheers.
Bear with me. So Emily and Julia, remind me. I've been a part of this for what, three years now, and it seems like every single year the presenters get better, the cohorts get better, the cohorts get better. I liken it to my perspective on NGS and who we are and how I felt like I was attracted to them as some type of beacon of change and all of that. And I think you all, whether it's the professor team or it's the student service learners who are going into the community, I think everybody as a unit, as a kind of a village, attracts other people who want to do the same thing. And I think whenever you have the students who are coming to these types of spaces, or you're just sending out information, or the word of mouth is being spread, I think every year the students are digging deeper because of what the previous students have said or the challenges that they put forth. And so like I've told this, at least for this semester's cohort with NGS, I told them time and time again, I don't recall actually like being this impressed fully by the cohort and how I saw them learning from each other, how I listened through the door to Ahmed speaking to Rodney. It sounded like someone's big brother, like it literally sounded like somebody's big brother talking to a little brother, and then the little brother responding with extra sass, but they're still in that moment working together. It felt very familial, which is all of the work that we do. That's the root of what we do. It has to be rooted in giving to others what we know that we need, what we also know that we give to our own family, blood family, whatever, chosen family. I'm queer, so the idea of chosen family is huge. So I lead with that, with the work that I do. And I encourage those that work with me to do the same. And so I just wanted to give kudos to everybody who past, present, future in this space. The work that we do is beyond description. So thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna cough.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I put things in the chat, but the whole point is that this is not, this is not a one person, it's not a 2-person endeavor, it's not 3-person. This is really, this is totally community endeavor. And we're always seeking to overcome our conditioning and to center and value. I mean, our focus on centering and valuing community voice and knowledge is so crucial to this work because of our own experience of what that really means to listen to the people who are most impacted by the social issues in our country, but also have so much strength and so much wisdom and bring so much. So I can't really say anymore because I'm gonna cry like Denise. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, this is always a work in progress. So thank you, Sean, for recognizing it's a work in progress. That I hate being static. I know I drive everybody crazy, including my own students, because I'm always that pushing for more. But together we push for more and look where we are, and we're just going to keep on pushing, because as Carla and other students said, like, we have a lot more work to do with everybody else. So thank you. It's very, very powerful.